Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream Saturday, if indeed we are live, because during that song it cut out on my software and it cut out on YouTube as well, so I don't know exactly what happened there, but I think we're back now and I think we're live. So we just missed out a segment of Art Not Commerce, unfortunately, so that's the first time we've had a gremlin during the first song, but I believe we are back and ready for action. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. If it does, I'll just have to reset everything and see if we're live again afterwards. Anyway, hello to you guys in the live chat room. Let me have a little look in there and I'll give you guys a quick shout out. We have Cindy and Peridot, Laura, Alison, Frank, Billy, Howard, B's in there as well. I should have started further down because it's too quick to keep an eye on everybody in there. Ninja Kitty's in there, PM1123, Laurie and Angela, Bang Bang, Drummer, Nancy, Frank again, Julie, Sue, and let's see who else is in there. Teresa. Hello to all of you. And thank you for joining me on this Saturday night. Now, what I want to try and test is, I did set up something that if there is an absolute disaster, such as YouTube losing the signal, even though technically everything's still connected, I did create this test card. I didn't create this test card. This is something that used to be shown on UK TV late at night when the channels had finished. And the whole country would be looking at just a picture of a girl with chalk with a chalkboard there, and I think a cuddly toy. So I'm going to show this up on screen. And I think this means that on my software, everything then cuts out and you're just looking at a picture. Because I thought if a disaster happened, I just have to click on this button and then I can rectify whatever it is and then come back to you after this picture. But let's have a quick look and see if it indeed works. And I'm going to try and talk, but see if there's silence, because there should be silence as well. Let's have a look. And coming back, I was saying 1 2 1 2 while that picture was on. So yeah, that was the picture that everyone saw on TV late at night until the morning, or the program schedule started up again the next day. So yeah, I think a lot of people in the UK know that picture because yeah, it used to be on our TV when I was a lot younger. But anyway, yeah, that seems to be working, which is great. I didn't resort to that because I wasn't sure exactly what was going on. But yeah, if you see that in the future, it means then there's a gremlin of some sort going on. And that's what I've chosen to go to. Right, now let's get everything up on screen. First of all, the names of my patrons, because they make this all possible in the first place. So a massive thank you to you guys. You know who you are. And I always say that, yeah, they're the foundation of everything that I do, in that they allow me to do this live stream and all the videos that I do, the analysis videos and everything that I do on a daily basis. So yeah, a massive thank you to you guys. Their names go across the bottom of the live streams on a Tuesday and a Saturday. So we will get the likes goal up on screen, because tonight we are aiming for 310 thumbs up. And I think I've kind of lost track of how many likes we got last time. It might have been 305. I'm not sure. But we're aiming for 310 tonight. And if we hit that target, we're going to be having Phil Jam number 297, which again will be using the laptop. I think that's kind of the way that I'm going to go until I do a testing session on the computer, maybe after the next update, and I'll see if the whole timing issue has been righted or not with the software. So we're using my laptop, which is okay. It just means I don't hear the backing track as clearly as I would do through proper speakers, instead of just hearing it through laptop speakers, which aren't particularly powerful and don't really give you much bass to be able to hear what's going on. But yeah, we'll keep on doing things that way. We will bust out the guitar if we hit the target of 310 tonight. So if you could hit that thumbs up as you come through the door, that would be very much appreciated. And I will get the likeometer up on screen to see where we are at so far. It is 196. So close in on 200, just a few more thumbs up to go, which means we're looking for 113 more people before the end of the live stream. So we'll keep an eye on that. And the last bit to get up on screen is the donations tab, because you don't have to donate, just watching is great. And for those people that can't resist donating, I think it's important they know between 45 and 60% goes to YouTube through the super chat window, and between 3 and 5% goes to PayPal through the PayPal link, which you can find in the description below, but you don't have to donate. Yeah, I'm just organizing my screen on this side because I wanted to make sure that I had the PayPal window open just in case anything happened over there, which I do have, and there's been one donation in there which I will address immediately. It's from Daryl, who donated £100. So thank you for that, Daryl. And it's always the case that if you do accidentally donate too much, then we can organise it on PayPal. It's very easy for me to reverse that. But thank you for that, Daryl. And I'm just seeing when that was made. Oh, it was on Wednesday. So yeah, well, Wednesday morning. Thank you for that. Like I said, if it's a mistake, don't worry about it. We can sort that out. But thank you for that donation. And I'll just quickly jump into, well, the lycometer's gone a little bit funny because I have to jump into the donations window, which means we'd lose the lycometer anyway. And Timothy has donated $9.99. So thank you for that, Tim. And that is a straight up donation. I don't see a message with that. So I will now try to get, it's still in the stream settings, try to get this back up on screen so we can see where we're at with the likes. Right, now the news, I was going to say the news for the channel, but not really the news for the channel, but more the news of something that was really annoying that happened. Was it last night or the night before? I think, oh no, last night we had the video on some people that were commenting on that songs of praise video where the vocal was coming from 2010, even though we're in 2025 when that was aired. But yeah, having the whole synchronizing issues and just explaining about how that couldn't be the case for the piano, the part that I was pointing out. And yeah, I mean, there's another particular performance that's been requested a lot, and I will be getting into that. And it's not to do with the BBC or Songs of Praise or anything like that. It's on another performance that a lot of people have watched and a lot of people have asked me to take a look at. And it's one of those cases where, a member of the band has come out and said that what they were doing is fully live, and has answered the critics of a particular performance. So it's always difficult when somebody comes out who was maybe involved with it and says that it was fully live, and basically just reassures everyone. And we had that with the Celine Dion performance at the Olympics, where everybody involved was coming out saying it was fully live. And it's always a bit of a problem when it's then proven that it wasn't live. So you realise that everyone is involved in this cover up of not letting everybody know that it was never really planned as being live in the first place. It was always going to be a pre-recorded studio vocal that was pitch corrected. So yeah, it is potentially going to be one of those situations. Like I said, it's always going to be difficult when somebody from the performance comes out like that, because then it's a bit, I guess, awkward for them when it's proven one way, or maybe it was fully live. But anyway, we'll wait to get to that video. But yeah, the synchronization synchronization issue that the BBC had, I showed in last night's video that it wasn't that at all. So with tonight's live stream, a little bit of news about just an annoying thing that happened on Thursday night, and actually really annoying, and it does directly affect everything that I do, because with my mobile phone that I've got, I use on that YouTube Studio, the app. So it means that you can keep up to date with that, and check everything that's going on with comments and things that pop up on there. So, and making shorts videos as well, and getting those out each day, which, by the way, today's video did not release for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I've just set it now to release for tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be the shorts video that should have come out today, because I do want one of those a day as well. So yeah, a little bit annoying that happened. But the thing that was even more annoying that happened on Thursday night with my phone was that my phone got a bit squashed. What had happened was, like, here in the UK, it gets dark at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon now. So it meant that it wasn't actually that late, but I was getting out my car and it was dark and it's raining, and I didn't realise my phone fell out of my pocket. And then later on in the evening, I realised I didn't know where my phone was. So I was looking for it everywhere, and then went outside and looked in my car, and it wasn't there. Came inside again, looked around a bit more, and then went outside again to double check the car, and was ringing it at the time because I had another mobile that I could use to ring it. So when I was ringing it, I could see that it was vibrating, and it's actually face down on the tarmac by my car. And it actually wasn't really by my car. It was a little bit further away from my car. So I thought, oh, it must have fallen out my pocket. So I picked it up, and lo and behold, half of the screen was all squashed and smashed. So I thought, well, that because it was in a case. And when I say a case, I mean, a case like everybody's got on their phone. One like this, like that. So it's kind of got a protective thing around it. But it was, a bit damaged, which was a bit annoying. So it just meant on Thursday night, I then had to spend that whole evening, very early into the morning, trying to get everything onto a new phone. And it just so happens that I did have another phone that I could use. I was very lucky because with my Authentic Vocal project, I have 2 separate phone numbers for that serve different purposes. So I had one that I could then use straight away. And the other huge, I guess, stroke of luck was that even though the screen on one side was all scratched, and you could feel it with your finger that it's all, the glass is all smashed. I don't know if it's glass, but whatever it is all smashed. It would still register my finger going across it. So as long as I didn't kind of push into it and maybe cut my finger, it was okay to then go to the migrating software. When I started up the other phone, because they're both Samsung phones, it then said about migrating everything from the other phone onto this phone. So all I had to do is make sure that it registered as me saying, yes, I want to do that on the wrecked phone. And then I could see on the screen that it was doing it, and I could see that it was receiving it on the other phone. So yeah, it could have been an absolute nightmare, because if my phone had been properly smashed, then I might have lost everything on it. And I think until you lose your phone or break your phone, you don't realize how much stuff you've got on your phone that you use on a day-to-day basis. So one thing that was a bit annoying to set up and took maybe an hour or two was to get my wingsofpegasus.com emails, which aren't from Outlook or anything like that, getting those through to my phone so that I can access those easily, because that's something that I do again on a daily basis, and I get a lot of emails through that particular email address. So a bit frustrating, and it is something that when you're really busy doing things all the time, now having to sit down and suss out getting everything from one phone onto the other one. And of course the apps copy over, but then it's getting all of the backup data from each app, and then re-logging into it and going through all the security stuff to say that yes, this is now the phone that I want to use. It was a bit of a pain, but I did get there. I now have a new phone which I can use, and I'm going to be very careful with it. So I can move forward with my life, thankfully. So right, I will now I can see that we are at 249 likes in that likeometer window. We're just on the likeometer, 249. So it means that we're looking for 61 more people to hit the thumbs up. And if you could leave a thumbs up, that would be very much appreciated. And at the top of, this is another thing, because the live stream was going a bit wrong, I was trying to type in really quickly about the vote for tonight's cover video, but I was trying to figure out what was going wrong with the live stream at that time. But we have More Than Words that has 54% of the vote at the moment for tonight's cover video, and it's Hero, I think, that is the other option, because that's a bit of a rollover from the last live stream. So whichever one of those you want to hear, then you can click on that at the top of the live chat room. So I can see Kyria Layson says nightmare for sure. Wings of Pegasus. I'm sure lots of people have been through that. Or it must be even worse losing your phone, like leaving your phone somewhere and potentially somebody else picking it up. But I guess the important thing to have on your phone is some kind of lock screen, and I have that on my phone, and now I have it on this phone as well, where you have the fingerprint so that you can open it. But I mean, I'm still amazed that sometimes my nephews, when they grab my phone, they have, I don't know how, but they get access to stuff. So I think you can access things through the lock screen, but I'll have to find the settings where when it's locked that you shouldn't be able to do anything really. I know that there's an emergency option to do an emergency call, but yeah, I don't know kind of how they get into the phone or get different options when it is locked. But I mean, hopefully having the lock screen means that people then won't be able to get into everything that you've got on that phone. Right, Melody Rock says, Phil, why you don't get an iPhone? So I was reading that as, why don't you get an iPhone? But then obviously my brain did a double take because the words were in a different order than they should have been. But I've just never had an iPhone, and the only times that I've used one is my sister has one, and I just haven't been able to figure out, like, she said, oh, can you go in here and can you take a picture of that for me? And she hands me her phone, and I don't even know how to get to it because I'm used to Android. It means that, I don't know how to use this phone. So I said, well, where's the camera option? So yeah, I'm just used to using an Android, so that's why I don't have an iPhone. And I don't know, I seem to remember that iPhones are really expensive, like hundreds of pounds. Whereas, I don't need something that's, for what I do, I don't need something that's kind of hundreds of pounds worth. I just need something that's relatively simple that will just do what I want to do. I don't need a huge amount of storage on it or anything like that. It's just, to, I guess, check YouTube Studio, and then the occasional apps that you might use, just playing golf, for example. Not that I'm doing that at the moment, but I used to and still do have on my phone an app that shows you the course that you're playing on and the distance to the hole, wherever you might be, because it uses GPS, and it's very clever. But that's something I do have on my phone, so I don't really use it for that much. So that's why I don't have an iPhone. I'm just used to the Android phones and the way that they are set up. So right now I will just quickly check everything in the super chat window. We're up to date with that, which is great. And let me see if I go straight back to the stream settings. It is showing the likes and it's not moving around, which is good. Now I do have the Apple MacBook Pro, and I guess this is where it's a little bit different because I'm used to using Macs and the Mac operating system, but I'm also used to Windows because I used that for years and years and years, from when I was probably a late teenager, at university, and then into my early 20s, mid 20s, maybe late 20s. I then got into Logic Pro, and Logic Pro 8 it was at that point, and started recording and producing on that. So then I started getting used to Macs, kind of Apple Macs. So now I have the Mac Studio, which is great for everything that I do. Like at the moment with my live stream, it means I can set up lots of things, and I've got the live stream window going on. I've also got the capture software that I'm going to need to do for Picture Corner, but everything that I do on these live streams it can handle, which is great. And obviously I do my analysis videos on this computer as well and edit them, and that's something that also on the MacBook Pro I can do editing on there, but I mostly sit in this chair and do it all here. But if I am on the go, then I can do a little bit of editing with the MacBook Pro. So I'm just used to, I guess, the MacBook Pro and Apple interface on computers, but just not on phones. So what I tend to do is anything that I need to get on the computer, I then put it onto Dropbox from my phone. I know that probably with an iPhone, you can press a button and it will just send it to your Mac, whatever it might be, whether you've got a MacBook Pro laptop, or whether it's like a Mac Studio or just a Mac Pro. I think they were called, because I've used a Mac Studio now. I know that I had a Mac Pro for years, and that's what we had Logic Pro 8 on, and that was like a huge computer, really heavy as well. But now the Mac Studio, which is ridiculously powerful in comparison, is now tiny. It's only about this size. You can almost take it with you wherever you are. If you have something to plug it into, like a monitor, it's a tiny computer. So it's amazing how the technology moves on, and it's literally from almost just from year to year that you'll get such advances in technology. And this is why the Mac Studio that I got, I think it's got the M1 chip in it, and now there's at least an M2 chip, or maybe even an M3, because my Mac Studio is maybe 3 years old or 4 years old, and I got it because it was very much for the future, almost future-proofing what I did, so that I would get multiple years out of it. But even when you start getting to 5 years after a release of a particular model of computer, it's almost like the next generation has taken its place, and then depending on what you're doing, then you might have to replace again. And this is the problem with updating software, is that some computers then don't update past a particular, I was going to say interface, but it's operating system. So Apple will release an operating system and it'll say, oh, your hardware, your computer doesn't support this. And that's it. You've hit now the end of the line where you need to get another computer. And I guess that's a very good business model if you are going to be doing that, getting people to buy a whole new computer just because the computer won't update. So, Cindy says, here we go. It proves my point. Cindy says it's an M4 chip now. So it's kind of, what's that, 3 generations on from what I've got, which is still really powerful, but I guess like the M4 is even more ridiculously powerful. But it's got to be because of, I suppose, 4K monitors and wanting to have multiple 4K outputs if you're doing professional video editing for movies and all of that. Then you'll need as many monitors as you can get, all spread around all over the place. So it's not something that I need particularly. I just have the 2 monitors here that I look at, and this is why I'm always pretty much looking over in this direction, even with the analysis videos, because I have in front of me, I'll have, and this is why it's good that it can run a lot of programs at the same time. I have a Final Cut Pro 10, which is kind of on this screen, and then I have the capturing software on this screen. So I occasionally look over here to make sure that it's still capturing everything, the audio is going through, and then I have what would be the picture monitoring software here. And sometimes I'll have something over to the right here if I need to reference a particular performance or a year or where it was from. And I kind of keep it all on these 2 screens. So this is why, and it's good for live streams as well. Now I have the laptop here, so there's a whole nother screen going on, but that's for the fill jam at the end of the live stream. If we hit the target of 310 likes, which we are 20 away from. So if you could hit that thumbs up, that would be great. Now, let's jump into the PayPal window because there's been another donation in there. And I'm just going to make sure that okay, it's kind of... right, I was making sure that we didn't miss it because for some reason it put me into a random spot in my inbox. But Lisa W has donated £2.14, so thank you for that. And the message is, Shot Scope gives you GPS plus distance of each club and which side you are missing putts on. Great information for the serious golfer. So thank you for that. And with the distances of the clubs, the problem that I've got or will have certainly is that everything that I did pre-injury with my arm is going to be totally irrelevant to everything post-injury, because I know that in order to stop anything from happening, obviously want to minimize the chances of being injured for 4 years into the future. It was 2021, so that's almost, well, so this will be, if we get to September this year, it will be 5 years that damage that was done that now takes that long to then right itself, because it's tendons and ligaments, and the crazy amount of time they take to sort themselves out. So yeah, it's been a very long time. So when I do hopefully get back to playing golf, I'm going to be changing things about the way that I play in order to make sure that I can play the game. I might not get the same scores that I used to get, but at least I'll be able to play. And my distance might suffer because I'm not whipping through the ball with as much force or speed that I used to, but even just something that's nice and easy and relaxed. And I think the important part for me is going to be having what is called a strong grip. So this is something that the physio explained to me, is that when you hold your golf club and you have your right hand, if you imagine your right hand, your palm pointing outwards or up, towards like the sky or pointing forwards, that's classed as a weak grip. And when you've got that, it doesn't mean that you're not hitting it very far or anything like that. It just, that's what it's called. So it means that when you swing through the ball and you make contact with the ball, all of the force is going up the inside of your arm, which is exactly where my tendon and ligament were damaged. So that's no longer a good thing. So what I need to do is go from, and I did used to have a grip that was like that, and it was quite effective. I'd get quite good scores now and again, especially considering that I don't really play a lot and I'm not that serious. So it now means that I need to change the grip to now be more over the other side, so that now the force goes up here. So it's now these bits are fine. The ligaments and tendons and muscles, they haven't had any issues with them. So that's what I'm going to have to change to. And I think that the problem before was that my technique was just a little bit rubbish anyway, and my grip obviously was sending a lot too much force up the inside of my arm. And then the cherry on top was, after golf I would go and do a workout, and I knew that it ached, but I thought it was like a muscle ache. So I was damaging the tendon and ligament, doing silly things like chin-ups, doing 10 or 12 chin-ups with weights around my waist. So I'd have like a chain belt so that you put on there, and I'd be doing that. So I was putting a lot of force through damaged tendons, or just a damaged tendon and ligament, and this is why it's taking so long to recover. But it is recovering very slowly. But I think I read, and I might get this figure wrong, but it's something like either ligaments or tendons have a 100-year half-life, which means that they take ages to degenerate because they're so strong. And it means that this is why it takes so long for the body to be able to make that material again. It's trying to make something that is going to last for ages, that is going to be really difficult to destroy through obviously the erosion of time. But I thought, it makes sense that if you do damage your ligament or tendon, that is going to take a long time. So this is why, when it is taking 4 or 5 years, I think, it is getting better, thankfully. And the specialist said it will recover. It's just going to take time. So just going to be patient with it. But I'm hoping maybe this summer that I'll be able to pick up a golf club, hit a ball, and it'll be okay, and that I won't have any kind of feedback coming through my arm, which I'm so used to feeling because it's been so many years that it's almost like you can't imagine not feeling it. But certainly I've been doing things on a day-to-day basis now, and exercising where I definitely would have felt it before, but I don't feel it at the moment. So that is good. I'll keep you guys updated as to what's going on, and yeah, whether I'm managing to hit the ball. Yeah, maybe I'll be hitting it not very far at all, but at least I can play a little bit. I don't really mind about getting a bad score. I think it's more just getting out and having just a few hours a week of not doing emails and, preparing for videos, doing editing, and just in that cycle of constantly doing something. It was good just to have a few hours off each week to play a bit of golf. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So, Efar says, did you have golfer's elbow? So basically, that's what it was. But the problem that I've got is that's called medial epicondylitis. And sometimes people refer to it incorrectly as tendinitis. Well, tendinitis is a thing. So if you have that with your tendon, for example, when you stop doing that particular movement, it will start to recover, and as long as you take care, then it can be something that can right itself in just a few months. But the problem that I had was kind of injuring it over and over and over and over, which means it was getting worse and worse and worse and worse until the point that I thought, right, let me just wait for this to recover because it's feeling a little bit uncomfortable. And then I realized at that point, after a few months, it was exactly the same and it wasn't recovering. I thought, right, okay, I've done something a little bit serious. But it's called a tendinopathy, I think, which is like a tendinosis, which is something that isn't tendinitis. It's not something that's going to heal itself relatively quickly. It's going to take a very long time, or at least significantly longer, to recover, because you just got to stop doing the movement that started it in the first place and just try to rest it. And then it's just the rehabilitation that takes a long time, and doing rehabilitation exercises and gradually building it up. But the problem is that if you go past your ligament or tendon's threshold, then it gets damaged again, so it kind of sets you back. So then you have to rest and do the rehabilitation again and try and get to the same point and never overload it, so that it's a bit of a guessing game. But I'm at the point now where I am exercising and doing doing resistance training, lifting weights, to the point where I would never have been able to do that before. So it's you do it a little bit, you get a bit stronger, you go a little bit more. If you go past, then you take a step back. So then you build it up again, build it up again, build it up again. You get to here, you get stronger, and now your resistance increases. And it's this constant kind of push that you have to do. If you do a little bit too much, even just like a couple of extra reps or a little bit too much weight, then it sets you back again. So this is it. It's a very long process, and it can be frustrating sometimes when you feel like, I can feel my arm again, and you think, right, okay, now I'm going to have to just take a little bit off, build up to that point again, and gradually, make it stronger. So anyway, I'm talking a lot about ligaments and tendons in tonight's live stream, but that has been my life for the last 4 years of just balancing this. And I did buy a book on, not only tendinitis but golfer's elbow, and they do a very good explanation of, now I know why I wasn't healing very quickly, is because you have to get to a point where it's uncomfortable, but it doesn't go past the point of 3 or 4 in pain. And then the tendon, it's almost like you have to, you have to give it a stimulus so that it is a little bit damaged, but then it recovers again. So now it's stronger. You have to damage it a little bit, and then it gets stronger. Damage it a little bit, it gets stronger. Whereas, again, if you do too much, and if you damage it too much, and it's like a 5 or a 6, then you go backwards. So it's a bit of a balancing act. So, Anyway, I can see something popping through that super chat window, so I'll quickly get into this. It's Jennifer who donated $5 and said, Phil, how is the wisdom tooth? Also, if you could trade voices with any singer, who would it be? Take care. So thank you for that. And right, wisdom tooth to begin with. The one that was infected is pretty much okay now and aches a little bit now and again. It then moved over to the other side, so the other wisdom tooth at the bottom was aching a bit, but that only lasted for a few days, so that was fine. Then at the top right, that's been the latest one that was probably about 5 days of aching, but that's now going away, and now it's starting up on the top left. So this is just the phase that I'm going through, is that all of my wisdom teeth are pushing through at this particular point in my life, but the one that was infected, thankfully, seems to be okay at the moment, fingers crossed, and the other ones, I'm just very lightly clenching my jaw and pushing my teeth together to see which ones I can feel, and I can still feel up here at the top, and yeah, the worst ones at the moment are on the top left. So there we go, and I'm hoping that maybe within a week or something they all just have done their pushing for this amount of time, and then it'll all go away again. Fingers crossed. Yeah, we will see. But if I could trade voices with any singer, I'm not sure. I mean, I might have to say Kip Winger, but you're never really sure about somebody else's voice, about what they do and how they control their vocals, and whether, I think if Kip, he's got a great voice and great range, and yeah, I'd love to have that voice, but I think I'd probably, he can go really heavy with his rasp, whereas I don't think I would ever really get into that kind of singing or style myself, because it's not something that I artistically am really into. I'm not really into the super heavy raspy sound for my own singing. And yeah, of course I listen to other singers who have that sound, but if it were my voice, then I'd want to be able to access the high notes with a bit of a cleaner tone as well as being able to lean into it and apply some rasp. But I think it's because my music isn't really that heavy. It's not like heavy metal or anything along those lines. So yeah, I'd probably choose Kip's voice and just kind of clean up for my own music that top end a little bit. So there we have it. That's what I'll say. But yeah, if I was to think about it for a long time, then I might think, oh well, what about Steve Perry's voice? Or yeah, it's potentially a never-ending comparison that you'll make with loads of different singers, and you think, well, David Coverdale, he has that voice that is totally unique. But I guess this is the problem. Imagine I started singing with somebody else's voice. Well, they'll think it's David Coverdale, so it's probably good just to stick with your voice, because that makes you unique. So anyway, Sue has jumped in there with a $9.99 donation. Thank you for that. And the message is, your voice is every bit as good as Kip Winger's, Phil. So thank you for that. I'm not entirely sure that is the case, but yeah, very, very kind words, very kind of you to say so. But like I said, you only ever really know your voice. And when you listen to somebody else's voice, you think, oh, I wish that I could do that in the way that they do that. But you're only ever really familiar with how you do things. So yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to have a voice that seemingly, can go up, or at least it's perceived as going up to the top of your range and coming back down again with minimal strain or effort. And just some singers that seem to have that ability to just Chris Cornell is another one where he just had this perfect technique of going up through his range and applying rasp, and very much using his mixed voice throughout all of his range, but then being able to just dip in and out of different vocal cord coordinations and doing things that I know that I can't do, because I have to make concessions with my voice in order to get a particular sound, or in order to get to a particular place that he did. And I knew and I know that he used to hit notes with a particular coordination that his vocal cords would do, and it's not a coordination that my vocal cords do. So no matter how much you know about theory and what your vocal cords should be doing and how you get those notes, getting your vocal cords to do that, it's a totally different thing. Everyone knows that, in order to hit this particular note, the most efficient way is to balance your airflow, have minimal strain, mix your chest voice and head voice, balance the air, get the placement right. But all of these things, like balancing airflow and getting the placement in exactly the right place, that's not something that you can't just do that. It's something that you have to try and find it yourself. And when you're watching vocal coaches, if you're watching videos of them explaining how to do it, they're explaining it for them and for their vocal cords. And they say, right, in order to do this, this is what you need to do. And they'll do something with their vocal cords that you can't do. And they'll make a sound that you can't do. So you think, well, they're taking for granted that you can do the same sounds that they can do. But if you can't, then where does that leave you? It means that you've just got to try and figure it out yourself, or find other ways to try and get to that particular place. And it's something that I've said many times about falsetto. I know that I can't use that register kind of authentically, but I can simulate it with head voice, which means that I can get up to higher notes and place air in there with my head voice, and it sounds like a falsetto. But yeah, a lot of people refer to it as falsetto, but they don't realize that, no, I haven't got the use of that particular coordination, so I kind of go around it and access it with something else. The advantage of using head voice with air is that you can connect it with chest voice, which you can't do with falsetto. The falsetto register doesn't connect to chest voice. So if you're going, you can kind of come all the way down. Whereas if you were doing falsetto, even though going, it sounds like, there's a lot of air in that sound. It's falsetto, but yeah, it's not. It's head voice with air. And going, I'm going kind of all the way down there. That would break off at some point. You'd have the sound of, like, I don't know. I was going to say a cow, where you're going like that. That's what would happen when you come down with your kind of true falsetto register. So yeah, it's probably an advantage to be able to blend it with chest voice, or kind of not have any break as you go down. But again, that's just something that I do with my voice so that I can simulate a falsetto sound, because I don't have that particular, my vocal cords don't go into that that particular coordination easily, and that's something that they've never gone into. My voice has always gone to head voice, until probably a few years ago I realised, I accidentally went into my true falsetto, and then I realised, right, that's what that is. But because it's not something I've ever used before, never worked at it, it means that it's not anything that I'm going to be using in songs, because it just sounds totally useless. So now it doesn't mean that I won't try and work at it in the future, but I just do what I do with my voice. But so thank you for that, Sue. Now, Elaine's donated $5 as well. It says, your voice is perfect. Why tamper with perfection? So thank you for that. Again, everyone sees their own voice. And even when you're playing an instrument, you just know what you do. I suppose with guitar, and that's always going to be in tune as long as you tune it up. So you can't really go too wrong with guitar. But trying to work with human vocal cords, that's where it's a totally different kettle of fish. And if you're trying to learn to sing, you'll realise that, wow, this is totally different to playing an instrument. Because you've got to try and get everything to work together in order to hit these notes, but also not leaning on, muscles to get you there, because then you'll get tension. And, if you're singing and you've got too much tension, then you can potentially ruin your instrument of your vocal cords and ruin your voice. Whereas when you're playing the guitar, if you do loads of bends and you're really aggressive with your playing, guess what? You just change your strings and then you're good to go. Whereas you can't change vocal cords when those start getting nodules, for example. So yeah, really different kettle of fish to playing an instrument learning to sing. But I think only the people that go through that process of learning to sing, from scratch, you realise, wow, yeah, this is difficult, but it's a challenge, and I think I enjoyed the challenge, or did do, certainly attempting to learn to sing. But Angela's donated $10 as well. Thank you for that. The message is, hi Phil, when it comes to self-discipline, what do you struggle with the most? Thanks. I don't know. I could just see Daviana says, you take singing lessons, Phil. I've never had a singing lesson, but I mean, I am tempted to maybe try somebody else's approach, because I don't think and I am going to get to Angela's question in a minute, but just on the coaching thing, it's nothing that I've ever done myself to kind of learn to sing from a vocal coach or have a lesson, but it's not something that I ever rule out. I think you can always learn more. I think it's probably always a mistake to think that you know everything, because certainly with singing, I know that I don't know everything, and there are things that I would love to be able to do with my voice and maybe access different registers in different ways. So yeah, I'll never rule it out. I mean, having the time to kind of work at singing is very difficult with everything that I do, but I've never had a lesson with guitar or singing, but certainly with singing, I think guitar's all right. I don't have a problem with that, and I've taught guitar for like 20 years, so I've got to a point where I'm okay with that, and I know if there's anything that I wanted to do on the guitar, I would know how to do it. I've got the technical knowledge to think, right, if I want to take my playing to that place, then this is what I have to do. Whereas with vocals, if you think, if I want to access this particular vocal configuration, then this is what I need to do. You can know it, but it doesn't happen. It's not like playing an instrument. So, right, Angela, the thing that I struggle with self-discipline, I don't know whether, I mean, because this is like answering the question with the opposite of what the question is. So the problem that I have is that when I start something, I always finish it. So, and if I have an idea to do something, then I will do that. So it means that I guess on an everyday thing, if I see some emails, for example, I think, I'll just do a few emails, and there might be, 35 emails to get through. And I started out with the intention of just doing a few, but then I end up doing all of them because I want to get them all out of the way. And then I move on to the next thing, which might be, planning videos. And I go all the way and, finish all that. And then filming videos, I'll do that and try and do, maybe a few videos all at the same time, because then I know, right, now after that, it's going to leave me more time to do this and to do that, and then thinking about authentic vocal and things to do on that channel. There are so many things that I've got going on at any one time that I'm constantly doing things and finishing them. But, like that vocal coach video that I did at the end of the last year, which was just trying to get that done, and it took about 3 months in order to get that all done, but I was constantly kind of working on it. So yeah, with self-discipline, I don't know, I guess the thing that I struggle with is having the time to do everything that I want to do, because I would love to be able to be really strict with exercising and keeping everything as strict as possible, but I am doing that as much as I can for my arm, for its rehabilitation. But then I think, right, well, I'd like to go out for a run and keep aerobically fit as well as doing resistance training, but I just don't have the time to do that. So I'm kind of doing so many things that I know that I do have self-discipline, that I can focus on things and be very dedicated, and probably more so than a lot of other people. But the thing that I have trouble with is trying to focus on everything that I need to do just from the time perspective. But I do somehow manage to do it, but we'll see in the future what else happens. So thank you for that. And Andrew says, that's not the question. What self-discipline do you struggle with the most? What's self-discipline? Now, for me, self-discipline is, maybe I don't understand the definition of the word, but being self-disciplined is, I'm trying to kind of think of, like being disciplined or self-discipline, like disciplining myself, telling myself off. I don't know. I don't tell myself off about anything. Yeah, so for me, self-discipline is when you are very dedicated to doing something and you are disciplined in approaching everything so that you can get everything done. And I think that I've done that. So I think I am self-disciplined. So I guess my view of it is that I think if I weren't able to do lots of things and to finish things that I started or be dedicated, then I wouldn't have a lot of self-discipline. That's how I'm taking that particular definition. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. But, right. I can see that it is midnight. It's just gone midnight here in the UK, and Elaine has donated $2 and says, speaking of time, TikTok. So we are going to be jumping into, it looks like More Than Words. That is the winner of the poll for tonight. And now let's, okay, there's something happened over on PayPal as well. But we will jump into this first. So it's my version of, just checking, yeah, More Than Words, 55% of the vote. My version of the Extreme Classic. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you after. Rock! Hi guys, this is my first proper video of 2017, and it's my cover of More Than Words by Extreme. And I hope you like it. Rock! Saying I love you is not the words I wanna hear from you. It's not that I want you not to say, but if you only knew how easy it would be to show me how you more than words is all you have to do to make it real. Then you wouldn't have to say that you love me, 'cause I'd already know. What would you do if my heart was torn in two? More than words to show you feel that your love for me is real. What would you say if I took those words away? Then you could make things new just by saying I love you. Love, more than words, love. Now that I've tried to talk to you and make you understand, all you have to do is close your eyes and just reach out your hands and touch me. Hold me close, don't ever let me go. More than words is all I ever needed you to show. Then you wouldn't have to say that you love that already know. What would you do if my heart was torn in two? More than words to show you feel that your love for me is real. What would you say if I took those words away? Then you could make things new just by saying I love you. And there we have it. That was my version of More Than Words by Extreme. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And we are going to be having a fill jam because we are at 392 likes and we were aiming for 310. So thank you guys for hitting the thumbs up. You can keep on hitting the thumbs up if you are watching this in the future on catch up. But let me quickly jump into the PayPal window because something's happened in there, I think. And it's Connie who's donated £20. Thank you for that. And the message is, hi Phil, I started watching the Internet Reviewed YouTube channel where she was reviewing your channel. It is well done and complimentary as far as I watched. You commented, so it's one you've seen. Peace, love and rock, Connie. So thank you for that. Yeah, now and again people do link me to other videos of, you know, my channel maybe being mentioned, but I don't keep up with everything, but that is one that I did click on. But yeah, just because I happened to see the message that linked me to it. So, I mean, yeah, it's great that people are watching the channel and checking things out, and I'm always kind of surprised at who's watching, and you know, the artists and bands and people that do do watch. So it is great that the videos get out there, but you know, I just keep on doing what I do, and yeah, if people enjoy it then that's great, and then if they don't, they don't have to watch the channel, but I just point out what's going on in performances, and yeah, it's always objective. I think that's maybe something that some people struggle with, and to accept that what I'm saying is actually true. But anyway, let me jump into right, the Super Chat window, we're up to date with everything there. PayPal window, we're up to date. Now, what we aren't up to date with is Picture Corner. So let's jump into there and see what we can see. Now, I'm going to have to get this on screen. And it's kind of in the middle, so that will do. Now, let me make sure that I get to the messages so I can see that Amy sent this in and said, I imagine Mr. Troll lives under a bridge with a stash of chocolate oranges and comes out to torment YouTube content creators. So thank you for that, Amy. And let me see. Oh, here we're going to have a few pictures of what the things behind me, the foam insulation, or like, you know, the foam soundproofing behind me, what it looks like on different people's screens, because we've got from here Diane who sent this in, and I think this looks quite similar to what I see on my screen. Let me see, we can go to the next one, and again looks quite similar. That was sent in by Michael, so thank you for that. And then Roseanne sent this in as well, so yeah, thank you for that. And Angela sent this one in. I think for me they're all looking relatively similar, and this one sent in by Amy. So yeah, I think they might look a little bit different. And now I'm actually thank you guys for sending those in, and Laura for linking me to them. I'm just going to come back to here because it's difficult, because I still think they are kind of blue, but maybe not as much. And I don't know whether in the analysis videos they look the same as this, or whether this is just a live stream thing, and whether in the other videos that they go more towards the purple colour that they are. But I do they do look a lot more purple in in real life in the room, as I showed with that picture in the last live stream. But anyway, yeah, apparently people like the look of it, which is great and probably more relevant than the red ones we had before, red and black. So right now, I think we are ready. We're not ready. We are ready for the fill jam collectively, but I have to make sure that everything is set up here, and we turn on this here. And how long is it? Oh, it's 6 minutes and 27 seconds, which means we're officially going to end late for tonight's live stream. Now, as for the levels with this, I can't do too much about it. So, yeah, if you say it's too loud or too quiet, we'll see. But let me see, I'm grabbing the mouse for this computer, but I need to be doing that over here for the laptop. Click on this. Okay, right now let me organise that. We're plugged in, everything's ready to go, and this is a backing track in capital letters modulating E major, comma, C major, or C Lydian and A Dorian. So yeah, very complicated heading for the backing track, but this is from Q Jam Tracks. So yeah, if you guys want to check this out, you can do. It sounds like it's going to be more of a kind of, I don't know, an exercise for playing different modes, but we'll just have a listen and see what we can do. Getting to grips with this. Okay. have it. Bit of a fade out thing going on there, which is always a bit of a pain. But that was a backing track modulating E major, C major, or C Lydian and A Dorian from Q Jam Tracks. And yeah, now that one took me a little bit of time to get my head around, and I think probably most of that was due to listening to it out of a laptop and the speakers not really giving me a good representation of the changes, because I could hear there were changes going on, but being able to hear clearly like anything, because there's no bass in there for me to listen to because of the tinny quality of the laptop. But anyway, there we have it. Hopefully I played a few notes that were relevant, and yeah, maybe I'll have to have a listen to that one again through proper speakers to see if I was actually matching it at all in any places. So anyway, thank you, Joe, for sending that my way, and we are going to be calling things to a close now, because we are 20 past midnight, and we have gone over our allotted time for the live stream. But I am going to be here with another video tomorrow night, so look out for that one. I'm going to be live streaming on Tuesday night again, of course, 11 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. So if you guys can join me then, that would be very much appreciated. But as I always say, try to stay as safe and as sane as possible in this crazy world in which we live. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will catch you guys at tomorrow night's video. Rock!